Hey everyone, I'm Sandy Robinson, your host of RevOps Unboxed. During each episode, we're diving headfirst into conversations with some of the most incredible RevOps leaders out there. Not CEOs, not big flashy executives, not vendors. We're talking to the people who are actually doing the work, the ones leading teams, the ones in the trenches, grinding it out every single day. We're taking things up a notch, getting deeper, having more fun, and as always, keeping it real. Remember our theme, RevOps Unboxed, and today we're unboxing it all. Let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm Sandy Robinson, your host of RevOps Unboxed. I am really excited to be here today. This is a first on the RevOps Unboxed podcast. I have two amazing guests today from MongoDB. I have Chris Hunter, who is the Senior Project Manager of Sales Technology and Operations, and SK Ramakuru, who is the Director of Sales Productivity, Strategy, and Analytics at MongoDB. Super excited to have you guys here today. Thank you so much. Let's start with you, Chris. Tell me a little bit about what you do at MongoDB.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Sandy. Really excited to be here as well. So right now, I oversee all of the activity management that comes through our system, or what we like to call is activity transformation. So think of that as all the plethora of activities that our go-to-market organization does on a daily basis. Luckily for us, we have a huge go-to-market organization that gives us a ton of data to work with. So most of the projects that I've been working around are solely focused on how we track that data, how our sales reps interact with our tools to capture that data and make it as smooth and seamless as possible.
All right. That's a huge organization. Let's go back to that in a minute. So, SK, tell me a little bit about your role at MongoDB.
Hi, Sandy. Hello, everyone. Really happy to be here. I drive all of the go-to-market generative AI at MongoDB. Activity transformation is one of the stream for me. So it's been like 3 years for me at MongoDB, close to 3 years. Right. Pretty much neck deep into implementing Gen AI, transforming one work stream after other by infusing generative AI with it. So I also lead solution architecture, operations, activity transformation, and go-to-market generative AI. So it's like a pretty band of diverse functions at Mongo.
Wow! That you definitely span across quite a bit of the buying journey. You know, I saw you in Austin, and your presentation was pretty amazing around how you're approaching AI at MongoDB, and I couldn't wait to have you, and thought it was great to bring in Chris on the show as well. So really looking forward to diving in today. So do you how big is your team actually? And are you on the same team? What does that look like?
So yeah, Chris and I, both of us are on the same team. We report into RevOps organization. For us, it is go-to-market ops, right? We go-to-market ops is like, again, it's a pretty easy term, but it just is very difficult to explain because our team consists of both operations and also strategy. All the strategy or type portion of organization comprises of business partners who are driving everyday analytics, everyday numbers, running cadences with everyone in the go-to-market, right from sales, PLS, sales devs, everyone in there. And then there is other portion of the sales of go-to-market ops wing, which is us, where we drive technology, right? Then there is core sales ops, and then there is analytics, there is compensation, there is generative AI. We are the newest and the coolest team on the block.
I love it. The newest and the coolest team. So, as you mentioned, GTM ops, RevOps, I mean, it's just so broad. It looks different at every company, small to large. Chris, maybe can you tell us how you got where you are? How did you find yourself in this world in terms of your career?
Yeah, for sure. And I think everyone has their own unique experience to kind of backdoor their way maybe into this. Certainly wasn't something maybe I thought I was going to end up doing while I was in school. But I started actually as a self-taught Salesforce admin at Comcast. And then my role after I left Comcast I ended up at WeWork for a few trips around the sun, which was certainly exciting. And I got a chance to really step into more of a project management position and kind of expose my spectrum to other tools, specifically top of funnel tools that sales reps interacted with and how it interacted with Salesforce itself. And then I found myself in MongoDB and kind of expanding on those skills and understanding kind of the full landscape of not only tools that exist out there, but some of the processes behind those as well.
I love the project management aspect. It's such a critical role. And, even if your company isn't large enough to have somebody designated to that, it's so important to approach projects really in that way, because putting together an integration or standing up a system, you have to approach it in that way. And most of us sell some sort of software. So it's like, we could take a lesson from our internal teams and how they run projects, right? And apply it to our world. But I love that there's a real focus on that because, these tech stacks get so complex. So appreciate that. How about you, SK? How'd you get where you are?
I have a very interesting story, right? I'm a mechanical engineer by profession, right? I mean, I started my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. Somewhere middle of the line, I started experimenting with this with the software tools for computer-aided design, CAD, and that just blew me. Right? It's just awesome that you can create a aeroplane fuselage without even having it in reality, and you can see when it's going to break. You can experiment with like multiple permutations and combinations. That led me into data and analytics. Like you keep on iterating, understanding data, at what time these parts break. You analyze, you form patterns, and with that I went into a consulting background for like a couple of years. I consulted with Cognizant, was consulting for insurances after 2008 crash. Right after the crash, I was trying to analyze logs to find whether I can salvage some of the insurance claims or not. Right, so that was a very interesting time. But all of our data analytics was on Excel and VB script. And I was pretty good at it. And that led me into understanding big data, made me into a spiral around the globe. I landed at A&M, Texas A&M College Station, for my degree in statistics, math, and business. Right. Wow. From then, the journey continued into sales ops and strat. So roughly about 10 plus years in sales ops and strat across AWS, NXP Semiconductors, MongoDB, couple of years of consulting, and I absolutely love it, right? You get to work with the best and the brightest salesmen and also the best and the brightest strategists, right? The good part about this role, Sandy, is that it exposes you to the topmost person in the business pretty quickly.
Right.
Unlike any other role, right? If tomorrow Chris or I, we go back and we talk to one of the RVPs at sales, we will definitely have their ear. Right, it's pretty easy access for us, and we can learn by sitting in the rooms how they think, how they are approaching problem, and it's absolute best part of the role.
I love it. I your both of your backgrounds are so different, and you come to this place together. Very interesting. Just side note, we'll have to catch each other offline. SK, my son is he's an electrical engineering major with a math minor, so. I think those we'll have to talk about applying those skills, but I can see with all the programming classes and coding he's doing and everything like that. By the way, he's 14, so that's another story. But anyway, so that's really interesting. So you guys work together. I know you have big projects. You're thinking big. You're really leading the path from my perspective. And again, I got a 30-minute kind of glimpse of it in Austin when I saw you present, SK. But it's really a mindset shift for a lot of us in RevOps that have been doing things for such a long time and in certain ways. And, you mentioned the bow tie changing, and that just really resonated with me because I love the bow tie, but we have to think of it, almost in like a 3-dimensional shape now. So tell me a little bit about some projects that you've done. I know you're working on a lot of things, but how have you delivered a major implementation in your organization? And tell me a little bit about the challenges. Who wants to start on this?
Sandy, actually, I just want to put a thought in here. Like when we met in Austin 2 months back,
Mm-hmm.
we spoke about certain processes, certain tools, how it's impacting AI. If I speak about it today, my entire pitch changed.
Already in 2 months?
Yeah, because
Mind blowing. That's awesome.
the level of transformation and innovation that's happening thanks to LLMs is probably unforeseen, right? I have not seen in my career where we have been so agile in our approach, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there might be a piece of software that you write today, 2 months down the lane, you might have to completely scrap it and move on. No hard feelings there, right? So I kind of think that I was listening to one of the pod from Satya Nadella from Microsoft, and he was mentioning that this is like a lean movement for all of us
Mm-hmm.
who are doing this technology work or knowledge work, which is very, very true. When Lean came in, when Toyota came up with their manufacturing processes, I'm a mechanical engineer, right? I know all of them. Uncovered a lot of inefficiencies in factory manufacturing, right? How does a car move from one production line to other production line?
Mm-hmm.
Where do we integrate robots in? What is just-in-time inventory? When Lean came in, it did impact fundamentally how our cell phones are made, pens are made, lights are made, and cars are made, right? Now, you are experiencing a similar kind of automation or transformation within the knowledge industry, where you will see a very different world in how software is made, how services are made, how processes are made, right? And we have to be ready for the change. For the fact, this is exactly what AI is process engineering. That's why I need more Chris's on my team who can simplify those processes easily so that we can take that next leap.
That is such a huge, huge point. If you're not changing, you're not evolving, you're not learning, you're not diving into information, listening to podcasts, doing your research, the world is going to pass you up. And RevOps is no different. It's really, we should be leading this in our organizations, I think, and leveraging this information and leveraging, new ways. Like I always say, like, let's not lock ourselves down to anything, right? Lean and mean is critical, right? Because things change. And as you said, we've been trying to schedule this podcast for 2 months and your whole point of view has changed. So I love it. Anything you wanted to add to that, Chris? I see you nodding along here.
Yeah. I think our journey at this started years ago, I think. And it really was a product of a simple solution, right? Crap data in, crap data out. So for us, right, what we really wanted to focus on was we had all of these point solutions across our entire tech stack for our reps, right? We're asking them to go to, 5, 10, 12 tools a day. And not only is it cumbersome for them, but it makes it really difficult for us on the back end to curate a lot of that data together. So it started with us consolidating a lot of those entry points into one specific tool. And after we implemented that, we just got through our first year with SalesLoft, which really helped us consolidate our meeting data, a lot of our conversations, so Zoom calls, Microsoft Team calls, our dialer calls, all of that information, emails, right? Once we were able to consolidate that, it helps build the structure for us to be successful in the long run. So luckily, we were a little bit ahead of the ball game in that regard. And it has allowed us to unlock, the last few months, SK and I have been working together. It's been really seamless and we've been able to deploy things a lot quicker because of that.
That's amazing. And I love how you're talking about, I mean, you guys have really been ahead of the curve on this. You've been thinking forward, really over the last couple of years, and now you're set up for success. How has that impacted the rest of the organization in terms of change management?
That's a very good question, right? It is not easy journey there, Sandy. It's not easy journey because so if you think of our tech stack, MongoDB is for developers, by developers, and everything is in MongoDB is built by developers, right? So we are much more inclined on that developer culture, and we encourage it as well, right? If Chris tomorrow wants to go build a tool, or if I want to go build a tool, you should go build a tool. But the problem of that is that at the point that we are in right now, some of these tools cannot scale to meet the needs of like 5,000 people. Somebody needs to, we need to have a dedicated support, we need to have a dedicated maintenance, continuous updates pushing. So all that is a big problem for us, right? Now, think of it, right? You are trying to displace a homegrown tool, a couple of other vendors maybe, in order to standardize and put a process in place. So the matrix of people that we have to deal with is much more. The and matrix of processes that we have to deal with, approvals that we have to deal with is also a lot more. So that's where we inclined on having a very strong technical program management org. Thankfully, we have a wonderful TPM who is assisting us, right? Who is coordinating with all the stakeholders, making sure their expectations are managed properly, making sure Chris's vision is being translated into a program and milestones so that that's chewable for us and we can knock off one at a quarter. Right? This journey of activity transformation, which Chris was mentioning, has been on for 4 quarters now. Right now, we can tell that we are probably there. We're probably there for curating AI on top so that AI can transcribe calls, drive insights. But for us, fundamentally, this is all pipeline engineering. Like it's all you're manufacturing your sievers, right? You're making sure everything flows properly. That's exactly the hard part of job, right? It's not easy. We need a good project program and a good DRI, good vision that sets every one of us on the same path. Probably, Chris, you can add on to this.
You hit the nail on the head. And I think our TPM should get a shout out, Edo, as well. He really helps drive and keep us kind of on track and make sure the ship is moving in the right direction. But yeah, like SK said, we've and kind of the point that I hit on earlier, right, is these individual point solutions that either we've created or we've onboarded and procured. That creates, exponential more complexity for us internally and across the entire go-to-market organization. So I think for us, right, ensuring that we show, the growth and the value in the process that we're bringing on board with a new tool or a team that we're transitioning onto a new tool. And then as well as showing that value to senior leaders and letting them know that not only are we just improving the workflow of the ICs themselves, but the output of that for them on the back end is going to be more improved, streamlined data as well.
Yeah, that's communicating the value, right? You're working with the stakeholders to communicate the value of, what do they get out of it? I mean, that's what's in it for me. I mean, that goes true, I think, for any project or any change. And working with, I guess in your case, is probably maybe in the 10s to 20s of different stakeholders across your org that have to sign off and make decisions and stuff. I mean, it has to be pretty massive.
Yeah. North of 20, much closer to 20 than it is 10. That's for sure.
I always tell people, like, when you're in RevOps, especially even in smaller companies, I've been in large companies and smaller companies, and you just have to really be a great collaborator to be able to impact that change and to sell the vision and, all those other things that come along with it. SK, you mentioned homegrown, and that rang a little bell in my head because I think it's pretty common. You've got some talented engineers building your actual products that you sell, right?
Yeah.
So in the product organization, and then I mean, I've seen it in ours. You've got someone comes up with an idea, and then boom, you've got a really cool new bot that everybody can use. And so how do you work together with that? And because to me, those things are positive, but it can also create some challenges because it may not be aligned with, the rest of your tech stack and your vision and all those things. So Build versus buy, right? It's kind of that old question. So
Infamous question, right?
I see some triggers, like I might be triggering you guys, but
You are,
tell me just what are your thoughts in general on that, and how have you dealt with it?
I'll tell you two examples, Sandy here. 2 years back, we had a essay hackathon. Uh, when AI was not AI anymore. We barely got GPT-3 at that time. And a couple of enthusiastic essays, they went and they built this bot called MongoDB's Leafy bot. MongoDB has this leaf logo, so they built something called as a Leafy bot. It's going to respond every question that you ask about MongoDB's technical questions like, is MongoDB better or Cosmos DB better? Why it is better? Is queryable encryption enabled on MongoDB? These questions take a hell lot of time because if you think of MongoDB, there are versions from 4 to 8 across 3 cloud providers, right? Azure, GCP, and AWS. Now, every variation of it has a variable answer, and there are at least like 100,000 questions that I can think about. One of the school essays, they built this bot, and they were like, "Hey, I think we're on to something. We can do something." Then immediately what we did was that we brought that essay into our ops org, saying, "Hey, come on here, let's scale it up so that we can roll it out for the entire company." And that was when we rolled out this bot called Coach GTM, which is a small little Slack bot, probably very little engineering left, and it's still answering questions there like 300 to 400 even today. Although we have our Geminis, although we have that, people get used to it and they keep using it. That's one example where it just got integrated into the tech stack. And people don't feel it like a sore thumb that is sticking out.
Okay.
But there are other examples where some of these create redundancies because they don't comply with a larger architecture, right? So you have to deal with both the scenarios. For me, building in-house for an initial concept idea, because it took 2 years after that for Google to come up with a chatbot and a RAG framework to come up. Like we had a very good initial edge, and I think it answered like 100,000 questions a year. So every minute is a minute saved for a field, and we could count it towards the productivity.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about saving time, and how much. I mean, that's you can't even quantify that in terms of. Is it? Do you say you're still using the original bot? Like it's still part of the ingrained way that you guys work?
It is still there, and I am very sure we have sold some vector search by that use case as well, because it's built on MongoDB's vector search platform. So I'm very sure it became a use case to sell some to other customers as well.
I love it. So tell me a little bit about behavior change. So you have change management in getting it implemented, and I know you mentioned SalesLoft and your top of funnel project, but how does that across the organization, how has that been adopted, and what are some of the results and that long-term behavior change that you've seen?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So you really want to spearhead it from 2 directions, right? I think, and I hit on this earlier, right, is showing the value from the top down, right? So getting senior leaders on board and understanding what the real value of moving to either a new tool or a new program is really going to provide. Because with any implementation, you always run into issues. You're going to have your early adopters, but you're also going to have your detractors, right? Regardless of what the tool is and how much value you're truly adding. So understanding that and showing the value from both the IC perspective, as well as, from the senior leader's perspective, and communicating that out verbally as many times as possible, quite honest, is really important. And we found that helps drive a lot of the adoption for us. So we've seen some pretty steep adoption, I would say over the last 3-ish quarters with SalesLoft. Like I said, when you're moving from 3 or 4 tools into one, you'll have those early adopters that love it from day one. But those previous tools you left, there are certainly people at MongoDB that loved each and every one of those tools that we unfortunately deprecated. So I think it's really making sure that you find and understand the use cases for why folks, miss their old tool, right? And you show the value of what moving to a tool like SalesLoft or another, one of those larger sales engagement tools can really provide for you. So we've seen a lot of success in that area. And, as we've implemented other tools kind of going forward, we've taken the same approach and making sure we get everybody on board. So it's as seamless as possible, even though that's, not always possible, but we try to make it as much as we can.
You mentioned communication. That is so critical no matter what the change is. Communication, it sounds like upward, across, and to all the users. And then not just communication, but you mentioned the value, like what the value is going to bring. And the other thing I heard there is, there still is a major move for consolidation that I've seen. And pretty much everybody that I talk to, myself included, it's like you want to go lean and mean. And some of these, larger, companies are able to offer, multiple solutions that rather than piecemealing them out there. And then ultimately they get swooped up anyway, right? By Salesforce or somebody else, right? But I think that's important for people listening to. It's still about the basics, right? So whatever the change is, that communication is critical, that collaboration, and all of that stuff. So I see you. Go ahead.
No, it's a great point, Sandy. I think I can't tell you how many demos I've sat on where I hear an AE say, "Look at this awesome product that we're going to show you," right? And I think because a lot of these AI functionalities have been really commoditized, they're kind of a dime a dozen across all of the tools within the market, right? How many tools offer conversational intelligence or offer some sort of like email reply AI features, right? And I think we're seeing that across the board. Like I said, I can't tell you how many different companies I've sat with, and they want to show me this quote unquote new product or new feature, right? That it's groundbreaking. So yeah, to your point, I think a lot of the consolidation is happening kind of in front of our eyes. And when SK and myself, we see kind of a new feature that really is kind of groundbreaking. We're a little hesitant to make any long-term potential commitments because, rightfully so. I think as we move forward over the next few years here, a lot of that's going to kind of maybe cannibalize itself, and these companies are going to kind of consolidate together and offer, holistic solutions rather than jumping from tool to tool.
Yeah, I have some kind of a opinion on that, Sandy, is that because the moment you find a tool, if you jump on going on implementing it, it takes 2 to 3 months for me to get my security review done, onboarded, procured. By the time one of these guys is going to build it. and I need not go to the ordeal of managing those integrations. Especially, it depends again at what stage of the company you are.
Right.
At the stage of the company that MongoDB is, the standardized processes, a very robust architecture where you can swap in and swap out is what we are building towards, right? If tomorrow, for us, activity management is an evergreen program. Forecasting will be an evergreen program. In that, you will have interlaced products. Some might be internally built, some might be externally built, some might be procured, some might even be Salesforce in that evergreen program, right?
Right.
But you should be able to quickly swap in and swap out, build that resiliency within the team. Only if your architecture is in a way that you have that resiliency and recovery, you will be able to survive in this world of, tool Armageddon maybe. Because I get it from both ends, right? Both AE side and also the executive side. Do you want to talk to this fellow? Like, no, I don't want. But it's very interesting. I'm very engaged, by the way, in the startup community because the ideas that come up are brilliant, right? Some of them are brilliant. Some of them I also advise. But all kudos to them who are innovating there. It's really, really nice to see those innovations come up.
Yeah, I think I'm in that world right now, and it's funny you said like you buy a tool, by the time you're getting ready to implement it and you have everything. That did happen to me just now, and it's ending. It's a good thing, but we went with an enablement tool to help with RFPs. So we first set up the RFP portion quickly because that was the biggest problem to solve. And then this quarter, implementing everything into Salesforce because we just stood up a brand new instance of Salesforce. And in the meantime, our phenomenal genius product team built a really cool bot. And it's great. And it's for the broader company. So like at the end of the day, not everybody's going to have access to the GTM tool. So we're moving forward with it, but we're coordinating of, okay, are we pointing it to the same areas, getting the same answers, if it's client facing and stuff like that. But yeah, stuff moves so fast. And, when you have brilliant engineers who are building really innovative stuff, it happens quickly. So, and I couldn't move fast enough, and it's great because it's there and we have that, and it's a massive time saver, and it's already really helping us while we're moving forward with this, kind of a little bit bigger enablement tool that's going to offer, a broader set of solutions, deal rooms, like all that kind of stuff too. But it's just very interesting because it is quick. And when you have that sort of talent at your companies, you want to leverage and harness that, for all.
Mm-hmm.
And did you notice something, Sandy? We started to talk about AI, and we quickly are talking about processes, consolidation, data, and what is program and project has to do for AI. Because without these foundational things, you cannot build AI. AI is this intersection of process and data. Simple, lean and mean process and a good quality data will give you a better agent. Until you figure out these two, the moment if you just put a cart before the horse, you will run it. You can build an AI agent. I don't know how it's going to work.
But if it's sitting on top of a steaming pile of shit, it doesn't matter, right?
Amen.
It's just going to return. It's just like the old, bad data in, bad data out.
Exactly.
Nothing's changed. It's just that we're getting smarter and more efficient about how to get that information and to really optimize it.
Right now, it's agentic bad data.
I love it. So what, when you're thinking about our, lead generation and the customer experience, how are you able to optimize the sales cycle? So what exactly are you doing with these AI powered tools to improve your win rates and improve your lead conversions and inbound and all that fun stuff with that salespeople love you for?
Yeah, I mean, remember, Sandy, when we met in Austin, we were talking about this weird phase where every company is going through. That if you look at the channels that you're getting your leads, it's all changed. Our model where you say that 21 touches before your lead can convert into a prospect is upside down, because I don't think your kids are going into any company's websites and looking and downloading their documents anymore, right?
No, dude, they're on Snapchat. My kid's on Snapchat, period. Like, that's it.
Or they're asking Publicity, or they're asking Gemini, or they're asking ChatGPT,
That's
which
what
is
they're doing.
giving an answer, right? And they're happy with it. I think essentially a lot of our workflows will be shifted to these AI agents. The search is being disrupted pretty heavily. So that effect is very soon, or we're already seeing that in the way we are envisioning lead journey. Because if you are a lead, you used to come to our website before. You used to create an account.
Contact us,
or download a paper, or visit a high value or a high intent page.
Request a demo.
Then I know Sandy is person who wants to implement MongoDB. I said, okay, PLS guy, go reach out to Sandy. Now Sandy is not even coming to my website. Sandy is just asking Perplexity, how do I build an application on MongoDB? And boom, she has an answer there.
Yep.
So we are still processing and evolving with this new lead flow. I think eventually the one thing that you and I will come back again probably a year later and say, this is the new lead flow, because the people are not coming to the websites anymore, or the website traffic will probably be a little bit in a different modality, and you have a new modality of engaging with the company resources.
Right.
So, number one, we're doing that. Number two, although we have this awesome lead providers everywhere where we buy the data, those lead data, every piece of lead data need to be orchestrated properly. If I go, or else if I go back into the system and say Sandy, there are 8 Sandys with 16 phone numbers. So who should I call? Is this
Right.
Sandy still working in ROA or she moved on? So this is one paradigm shift that we are trying to drive at MongoDB, is that before I hand over an account to a sales rep, we want to make sure we have a curated lead list that's associated with the account so that the seller or SDR is not doing it on his own.
Right.
The moment he's doing it on his own, they're everywhere. There is a Google Sheet problem, there is a tool problem, consolidation problem, bounce
Right.
rate problem, all of the downstream effects, right? So that's one architectural shift that we are bringing in. Again, if I let AI take over it, our bounce rates are going to skyrocket because it's going to email every Sandy in that list.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're being very cautious there, Sandy, in redesigning the lead flow, how we engage it. We have a pretty big program that's going on called PG optimization. So we are optimizing end to end of a PG, right from where you get your contact, how you engage with them, to how we convert them into an opportunity. So it's a evolving program. I think that's going to be the pretty big program for this year.
I think that is just genius, because the traditional marketing ops is not the same, and there's no first touch, last touch. That to me it's just not a thing, right? Website's critical, but is that the first place people go these days? Like, absolutely not. That may be like an after they meet with you, they go check it out, right? They get a link sent from the rep, or maybe they never go there, right? So, how are you connected in with marketing when it comes to all of this, right? So you're focusing on doing a lot of work, obviously top of funnel. So what does that interaction look like? Do you have is that kind of connected to your team? How are you handling that internally?
Good thing we have programs. We
Yeah.
are so. I mean, that's a beauty of having a program that
Yeah.
runs across all of them, right?
There's no
PG,
silo. The silo's gone, right?
Tyler is on, right?
Yeah.
If PG is an activity that's very much everyone cares in the company. Activity, that's how I log my meetings, is an evergreen program. Now you forecasting, it's an evergreen, so it can cut like multiple silos together, right? So marketing ops is a pretty big stakeholder in our PG program. So that's the beauty of curating these programs. You can have multiple people funnel through it. So, and also tech and tech ops will be partner in that, so that when we build something, we're not building in a silo. We make sure
Right.
everybody knows it, and we have a standardized architecture. There is an architect who can say that, guys, what you're thinking is not possible. Like there is a fair bit of chance we can encounter that, but at least we have everyone in the room.
Right.
And
So wait, let me ask on that. So your programs, so this PG program, it's spanning across. This is sponsored, I would imagine, by each of the stakeholders. Something that is supported by the C-suite. Like, these are like foundational company programs that you're running across the organization.
yeah, that's how it has to be, right, Sandy? If you think of a go-to-market ops,
Mm-hmm.
if I ask you what are the 5 things that we do, PG,
Mm-hmm.
activity, forecasting, probably RFP and CPQ management, renewals, and probably you'll have 5 or 6 other small little things here and there. But
Yep.
these are the core programs that will always be happening. And beyond that, there might be smaller programs that would happen, smaller buildings that might happen. But eventually, these are the things that RVP in who is sitting in Atlanta cares about, right? How is my PG going on? Am I able to log and measure what's going on? Am I able to forecast? Am I able to realize my revenue? Am I able to easily get my renewals done? What else? If I can give that basics to the sellers, more or less we are nearly there. It's not too complicated.
This is really important for people listening, because one of the most common things that when I speak to RevOps leaders or anybody in RevOps, marketing ops, they're dealing with this cross-functional silo of, well, marketing does it this way. And, it's like the dreaded handoff. Like if you've ever listened to me talk, I hate the term handoff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think thinking about it from a program, which is different than a project, right? A program across your organization is, it's the way to do it. Like you have no way to lose sight of the silos. Now, obviously people are still going to run their own teams and do their own things, but you're all really locked into this program. So I think that is a really great takeaway for people listening, to run things more like programs, not necessarily projects, because projects just have, hey, Chris is accountable for this project, and if the project fails, it's on Chris's head. And while you're going to have projects that roll up to those programs, a program is something that's organizational, that everybody has a responsibility for.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That's awesome. So tell me, like, logistically, I'm just really interested here. So you have how you've set up this lead sales process, and going to the sales reps, and what does that look like, and how are they using it, and are they finding it to be difficult or saving them time? I mean, can you tell me a little bit more to how this is actually working?
Yeah, I can take this a little bit if you want, SK. So, yeah, I mean, it really starts for us within a number of different tools, right? And functioning and seeing how our reps kind of generate those leads, push those, whether it's into a SalesOft or a Salesforce, to action on them. Right now, we're working through how the process is set up. I think SK just mentioned it earlier. We have this idea of a PG optimization program that we're working through as well to improve that process as much as possible. But we really want to think of them as kind of like signals, and how our reps are actioning on these signals, right? So whether the signal is someone visiting the website, or it's just your general account and you're going out through a Zoom info and pulling contact information directly into SalesLoft, right? As we've been kind of unfolding this world of AI, and now that we have this plethora of data that's kind of consolidated together over the last, let's call it month and a half, the next step for us really is to curate, using whether it's AI and it's previous conversations that we maybe had with that contact, that account. We're referencing and giving them some templated materials that they can follow up with, or that they can reach out with and create some PG. So they're not starting on a fresh slate. So we've really, really looked for, and there's certain things I can't fully divulge here today, but there's some really cool stuff that we've been working on behind the scenes to, like I said, curate a lot of that account research for the rep, because there's umpteenth amount of hours that a rep spends researching an account, finding the right ICPs, right? So if we can do a lot of that on the back end for them and surface that, we're cutting down so much of the admin work that they're asked to do on a daily basis. And now they can really focus on those heavy hitters, the people that are really moving the mark at their accounts, and they can curate those personalized messages just at the click of a button. So those are some of the things that we've been experimenting with over the last month and a half, 2 months. And we've just started to hit the beta program with a number of different reps, and we're hoping to go GA with that very shortly. But there's some cool stuff that we've been working on, but I think that's how we think of it, right? It's allowing a lot of the process work behind the scenes, the admin work behind the scenes, to happen automatically, and then allow our reps to really do what they do best, and that's sell, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they've got to love you for it too, right? I mean, even the people that are, everyone's always skeptical. I find, salespeople are, I'm a salesperson at heart too. That's how I got my career start. So we're always skeptical, like, oh, this person, like, I'm great at what I do. I can do it the way that I've always been doing it. So getting them to kind of dip their toes in the water and see, that it really does save them time, and it's valuable information. I had actually at Quavo when I started, there's a tool, is actually Zoom Info, and one of the sales reps is like, well, I don't like Zoom Info. I don't find it to be valuable, and so he went out and bought his own tool, and because you can, when you're at a startup, you can kind of do whatever. So I was like, all right. So I started asking questions. I started diving into Zoom Info, but it wasn't set up. Like it wasn't, none of it was set up, the intent, nothing. And there was no training. And, so it's now, we've got it optimized, and we just stood up Salesforce. We've got it integrated to Salesforce. And now they're like, oh, everything's there, and there's no tool that's perfect that's going to have all the information, but it still goes back to the basics, like setting it up with the user in mind. If you're giving them something that doesn't work, or they find it to be cumbersome, they're going to blame the tool, they're going to blame the process, and whatever. So I love how you're approaching this, and just really with the user in mind.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head there too, right? There's not one tool that solves kind of the data conundrum, right? You're going to have tools, and we see this all the time, right? People switch accounts. And we have a number of different data providers across LeadIQ, Cognizant, Lucia, all over the globe. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard a rep say, I loved tool X from my last account, but now that I've switched accounts, I can't find any data relevant to them. So, right. They switch to something else, and all of a sudden it unlocks a whole nother, plethora of contacts that they have access to. So right. I think, again, one of the things I hit on earlier is the more tools that you offer, the more complexity that gets involved. And we certainly see that on the data side with the various endpoints that we have data coming into, again, both SalesLoft and Salesforce. But allowing that too at the same time, because if we don't, I think we see kind of the same thing here with our SDRs and our ADRs. If we don't offer it to them, they'll find it. And right. they're very keen on what's available on the market, and word spreads fast, right? I can't tell you how many times I find a Chrome extension that reps are using, or a new tool that they're using in the background, right? To improve X, Y, and Z. So I think it's hearing those voices and understanding why they're searching for these tools, and then seeing how you can improve that with the current tech stack that you have today.
Yeah, and over the years, over the last year or so, Sandy, we developed very good relationship with our vendors. So whenever we find a new feature, we are communicating it back to them. Like, hey, this is missing in your product portfolio. 85 people in MongoDB are using it. That means it's valuable.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's some value there. And you always have to listen to them, right? If they're seeking something else, there's usually a reason. So I always take it back to what's the why? Why are they looking for this? And if they are innovative and they are trying to find different things, it just means that they're not finding it in your current setup if they're actually using it. But I'm going to wrap up here because I think we could go all day, and I really I really would love to keep chatting. But I'd like to wrap up with each of you just, kind of leaving everybody with what advice would you give to folks listening to this around, how you can improve revenue operations with, AI? What advice would you give?
I can go first there, SK, if you want. Yeah, I think it revolves around one word, and that's simplicity. At least on the go-to-market side, right? With ICs and customer-facing roles, simplicity is always key, and ensuring that it fits seamlessly into their workflow. Because, like we said earlier, right? Bad data in, bad data out.
Yep. And
if your reps are running around using third-party tools, you're getting spotty data into Salesforce, SalesLoft, into your data lake, it's going to ruin whatever you're trying to build from an AI perspective. You're going to get, hallucinations left and right if there's poor data in the system. So I think that was the one thing that I would leave with any leader trying to implement some sort of tool or AI program is sometimes less is more, and ensuring that you're capturing the correct data points, you're creating the pipelines for those to your data lake, and you're ensuring that it's set up as seamlessly as possible for the reps, and there's no friction there.
Yeah,
I love it.
I have a couple of things, Sandy. Number one is for all the folks who are practicing RevOps, is that we need to be on an upskill journey. We are not the ticket resolvers anymore. We are not the people who move the accounts in Salesforce. We are not the Salesforce admins. We are the people who are architecting these processes. So if you are missing that boat, the roles will be transformed, right? The entire revenue operations is much more of a knowledge work right now, what it was before. 5 years back when I started, I could throw 7 people at a program and get things done. Right now, it's not. You will have to co-work with AI agents in each of the things and also make them learn, evolve. You can write a program without knowing a single line of code or how to write Python, right? Use Google Firebase AI. You should be able to create those programs. So upskilling is one that I am more keen on. The second one is for the leaders in the RevOps, is that there will be a tool that has the best AI functionality in the world. It will not work for you. You have to approach it program by program. Is this program fit for an AI adoption for you? Is lead flow fit for AI adoption? If tomorrow one of the tool can come in and say, hey, we have the best AI in the world. If you put into your ecosystem of tools, it becomes crappy. It doesn't work because your process is not curated to be AI ready. I would request RevOps leaders to think through program by program. Is my forecasting AI ready? Is my activity management AI ready? Is my pipeline generation AI ready? And even then you can go sub work streams into that, right? How do I log emails? Is it AI ready? I don't know if it is ready or not because your pipelines are bad. I don't know because you have data silos. So that will help you think through it. Upskilling and programmatizing and being more disciplined is what I would leave everyone with.
Words of wisdom here, everyone. I really appreciate both of your time today. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been another episode of RevOps Unboxed. Stay tuned. This has been another episode of RevOps Unboxed in partnership with the Revenue Operations Alliance. Until next time, keep unboxing.